Today's podcast is brought to you by Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance. Accidents happen. Without the right coverage from the right insurance company, damage to your automobile can be a real financial hit. That's why Kentuckians appreciate the competitive rates and personal service they get from Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance. When the unexpected happens, count on us to help you get back on the road. To request a free quote, find your local KFB insurance agent at mykfbagent.com. Kentucky Farm Bureau, big on commitment. Matt, today is a good day.
Yeah, we always, we kind of start this always, and I feel like we're kind of redundant every time this human is with us. But
I think people probably think we're messing.
No, it's literally a great day. We love Tim, and he's here today. He's got a story. He's got a recording podcast that he did, and but he's here today to hang out with us. How you doing, Tim?
Just great.
Just great.
Thanks for having me.
Timmy Tuesday.
It's a special appearance.
By Tim Thornberry. Yeah.
So before these episodes, I'm sure you guys are going to be shocked to hear this by the rambling we normally do, but there is planning that happens. Like, we will walk in and say, what are we going to talk about today? And 4 or 5 ideas normally go back and forth. Today, we just decided we were just going to look at Tim and be like, Tim, what the heck's been going on, man? What has Tim Thornberry been into?
Oh, you wouldn't want to know all of it. Well, most of it's just putting together an award-winning magazine.
Right.
Oh, humble brag.
Day in and day out, which is very rewarding. We think we have a good team, doing a good job. A lot of great farmers out there. A lot of great stories to tell.
Yeah, you've been doing some interesting stuff with America 250.
America 250, yes. We have had a great friendship with the Kentucky Historical Society, who have been very helpful, as a matter of fact. Our second in a series of Kentucky 250, America 250 Kentucky Perspective, I guess, is coming out in June. We're going to visit with our 16th president, Abraham Lincoln, who...
You found him?
Did you interview Abraham Lincoln for the podcast?
His home place is at my new hometown.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. Our commercial came through. How did that happen?
What the heck?
It just turned on, too. Why did it just turn on? Oh, it's nothing video. Well, we can rewind a bit. You're going to have to cut that part out. We're on a roll there. Let's talk about Abe again. Let's just...
Well, did you know that Abraham Lincoln started the USDA?
I feel like someone has told me that fun fact, but tell me more.
Well, he did.
There be the fact.
That's all it says in the article.
He did.
He did.
And farming, he was actually born into a farm family. Mm-hmm. And I paid a visit to his boyhood home in LaRue County.
It's not in Springfield. His home place is in Springfield. Should have come seen ours.
I've been to his home place in Springfield.
Oh, not as exciting.
The golf course wasn't there when he was, but now they got,
well, that's news.
Now they got a great golf
Abe
course
Lincoln,
there.
avid golfer.
I thought that's where things were created, on the golf course.
Yes.
Right there in between swings. They were like, what would be great, boys? You ever thought about a Department of Agriculture?
Department of Agriculture, right here. Yeah, it could have. You never know. You never know. He'd probably be pretty good.
Anyway.
Yeah.
If you visit along Highway 31E, his boyhood home, it is now a national park. And behind the park is a valley surrounded by what they call knobs, and it is virtually unchanged. The view is unchanged since he was there, and so it's kind of cool, at least for me. I'm sort of a history kind of geek. To set out there, there's a little bench. You set out there and you look out and you think, all those many years ago, 1809 or whatever the year was, it looked the same. It's kind of cool.
That's cool.
Now, I will say...
I think there's a down the back roads coming with that.
Ew.
Whoa.
why does Illinois think they own him? He's ours, right? I mean, Abe Lincoln is ours.
That's where he's buried.
Yeah, I know but like,
Have you seen the tomb where it's pretty elaborate.
Is it just a top hat?
Oh, no. No.
You thought they put him in feet first, just put the top hat on top of the ground?
That'd be awesome. It's just a giant top hat.
Tombstone is a top hat. We're bad people. We have to stop.
It is quite the memorial.
I bet. Yeah. Yeah, we love, we go to DC. I like going to Ford's Theater. It's pretty simple, but those kind of things. Not his best day, but
God, we're on a roll right now. This is terrible.
I would like for everybody to know who's saying those things, and it's not me.
They are not in the article.
Sorry to be. I'm just being funny.
So there's a giant memorial of Lincoln in DC.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is great.
Yes.
Let's go to the positives. Yeah, that's good.
Getting back to the Kentucky Historical Society, they're going to help me out with this one too. They've been very gracious to give me experts. Our first story in this series was about our first governor, Isaac Shelby. Actually, he was the first and the fifth governor of the state. And so next we're going to talk about Mr. Lincoln, and then our July series story. I don't know what it is going to be yet.
That's all right.
If you did, we couldn't tease all those things at once.
No.
I mean,
We got to get people coming back to this podcast to hear the next tease.
Yes.
So interesting you talk about USDA because you talked to someone that happens to be on this podcast that has to do with USDA.
What an intro.
Wow.
What are the odds?
We did not plan that.
That's crazy.
The Farm Service Agency State Executive Director, David Wayne, was in. David and I have talked a number of times. Mm-hmm. He's a really smart guy, and they got a lot of really great programs. And every chance we get to talk about what's going on with FSA, we get to talk to David Wayne.
Yeah.
And in July, I think July 15th is crop reporting time, and we talked about how important those things are, and what they do, and what they can mean, and how helpful they can be. So. We want to encourage everybody that can to provide that information. It will be not only helpful for them, but other farmers and other generations.
Yeah, we had David Wayne on Farm to Frankfurt when he was appointed. Also Burton when he was appointed.
Yep,
so
Travis.
Some recent appointees, both I think really trying their best to lead those organizations here locally.
Doing a good job. They're doing a good job.
Something I like to remind people about David Wayne, and this is no shot against any of the past state directors for FSA. We've had some phenomenal ones over the years. But in my lifetime, which I understand doesn't date that many executive directors, that's fine. But in my lifetime, I do not remember having one that came out of an office, like truly was kind of on the ground working with the farmers. A lot of them have been in ag spaces in a very public-facing setting. But I think David brings an interesting perspective because he was just in the office the farmer walks in to give that report and he's the face you saw. And so it's very real to him. It's very recent to him. And so I think if you hear that in his voice, a lot of kind of he speaks like farmers. He talks like farmers. I think that's why he's an easy interview for us to go get.
He is a farmer.
Look at there.
Right. Yeah. So this is great.
That was a great interview.
Okay. All right. Well, I think
and of course, I did a phenomenal job.
I mean, with that, how do we delay this any further?
How do we slow this down at this point?
All right, I'm Renee Carrico.
I'm Matt Hilton.
Tim Thornberry here.
Let's get rural.
David, welcome back.
Yeah.
We've done the podcast thing before, but always glad to have you here. And I know there's a lot going on with the Farm Service Agency here and everywhere. And we're just thankful you're here to talk about some of the programs and what is going on right now and what folks need to know about.
Yeah, Tim, it's great to be back. I always love coming to the Kentucky Farm Bureau studios here and talking about FSA programs, getting to have a good ag conversation with you, and it's just good to be here and advocating for FSA's programs and Kentucky farmers.
Farmers are busy right now. As a matter of fact, I was in Hardin County not too long ago, talking to a farmer there, and he had talked about he had planted corn earlier this year than ever before, and we had that spell where we were sort of dry that gave farmers a head start on getting out in the field. I know the weather's gotten sort of cold since then, and some of them were a little worried about frost, but I think all in all, they were pretty happy to get out there. So I'm sure you've seen that too around the state.
Sure, a lot of good planting progress has been made. I've heard the same stories that you heard. Guys got started earlier than they were used to getting started, or they may have started about the same time, but made a whole lot more progress. In several weeks of straight running, I think, to get the seed in the ground. But yeah, some concerns here and there about not only the dry weather, but some cold temperatures coming through and maybe delaying emergence or what have you. But I see a lot of good stands of corn and soybeans out there. So I think some good crops are on the way, and definitely when we keep some rain and warm temperatures coming, we'll be in good shape for this year, hopefully.
Well, if it'll warm up a little bit, I think we're in pretty good shape weather-wise. We got some needed rain over the last few weeks. And so my neighbor, I think he started planting soybeans in March. He was in a hurry. But it's been good. But there are a lot of programs that are going to help those farmers out there, and I'm sure you get a lot of questions and have a lot of information to share about those. Sure,
we get a lot of questions, all year long about the different programs that we have. But one of the reasons I wanted to come in today specifically was to actually talk about this 2026 planting season and the importance of crop reporting. Mm-hmm. That we don't see a lot of producers this time of year because they're in the fields, running their planters, or spraying or field prep or whatever they're doing this time of year. And the big influx of producers in our offices come in June and then the first 2 weeks of July, prior to that July 15th crop reporting date. But what I want to do today is stress the importance of those crop reports and what they help FSA do. A lot of our programs begin with the crop report. Mm-hmm. We look at acreage numbers that are out there nationally to determine the cost of program implementation. If we have a good idea of the amount of crop that's out there, whether it's corn, soybeans, strawberries, watermelons, hay, pasture, if we know the numbers that are out there, then we can better implement our programs, better assess, the funding that's needed for those programs, and ultimately determine payment rates more accurately going into that program implementation. So just the importance of crop reporting. I talked to a lot of farmers that, especially cattle farmers, I'll say, have you done your crop report for this year? And they're like, well, I don't raise any crops. For FSA, hay is a crop, pasture is a crop. We'd love to have you come in and do a report on that so that then if something does come along to where we have funds available, assistance available to you as a farmer, as a producer, at that point we know you exist, we know you have acreage, and we know we need to get you signed up. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, even for somebody like me, those crop reports are pretty important. I'm looking for them all the time. It gives me a lot of information that I can use, that I can share. And so I depend on those as if I were growing corn and soybeans a lot of times. At least I feel that way. Sure. For ag advocacy, knowing the amount of acreage that you have of certain crops in a state, like Kentucky is so important when you start to advocate for certain policies, as you advocate for funding. So it helps not only FSA and our program delivery, but it helps organizations such as Kentucky Farm Bureau know the scope of, or the reach of ag in the state, and then the producers that they need to advocate for. So yeah, totally agree.
You were talking about like livestock producers not saying, well, I don't have a crop. What are some of the things that people have? I'm sure they have questions about crop reporting. How do I do it? When do I do it? What does it mean? Sometimes farmers are a little private, and that's
Sure.
Okay. But what's the first thing you would tell somebody that comes to you and say, explain this to me?
Sure. So when we do a crop report at one of your local FSA service centers, everything starts with a map. We bring out a map of your farm based off of the farm records that we have, and then we just start looking at the different fields and basically have you tell us what you have there, the crop type, the intended use, the planting date. Those are the main pieces of information we need. So I'll run through those again. That would be the acreage that was planted, the planting date, the actual crop. So you could say if it's corn, that would be the crop, then the crop type. So it'd be yellow corn or white corn or silage, what have you, the type of corn, and then also the intended use. So whether that's going to be for grain, for forage, for silage, for green manure. We have all these different crop types. I'm thinking of corn specifically, but if you just look at pasture, so a lot of people think, well, pasture is not really a crop, but for us it is, because we have a lot of programs related to pasture that could be of benefit to livestock producers. So for pasture, it's the same thing. It would be, when we talk about planting, you may have planted it 15 years ago. That's fine. We'll take a date that's back, because we understand that it's an established pasture. But then we're going to look at like how many acres is that pasture field that you have. What's the consistency of the planting? Was it orchard grass, timothy, clover mix? Was it straight fescue? What actual planting, what the species mix is there. We can account for all of those in our crop reporting system, so we want to know those things. And then the intended use, if it's grazing, if it's for forage or hay, that's the other part of the information that we get on that. And then I guess the last piece would be is who gets the share of the crop. So if you're livestock producers and you're partners with someone and you all split everything 50-50, we can handle that on a crop report as well, as labeling that pasture as 50% David Wayne, 50% Tim Thornberry. So, we can handle those type situations as well. But I guess to bring it all back together is just stressing the importance of having that crop report on file and what it helps us do. So we've had some pretty dry spring, very unusual for spring to have drought conditions hit in April. Usually April showers bring May flowers. So I don't know what April drought. Hopefully that still brings some May flowers. But when a drought, so we had some counties in Kentucky hit a D3 drought status on the U.S. Drought Monitor. And the reason I bring that up is that triggers our livestock forage program. So when you reach a D3 drought in a county, if it's during the grazing period, then that livestock forage program, LFP, kicks into effect, and producers can sign up for that to receive assistance on that lost pasture that, you're lost grazing due to the dry conditions. So those payments are going to be based off of the number of animals and the number of acres. What do we need for acres? We need the crop report. So if livestock producers have stopped by the office and done their crop report, we know that pasture is out there when, let's say, LFP triggers, when you hit a D3 in a county. Then we can reach out and say, hey, our records indicate that you have pasture. We just want to let you know that we've reached this level of drought status in the county, and you may be eligible for the livestock forage program. It helps us reach out to get producers signed up rather than trying to find them later after a disaster happens.
David, there's a couple of questions that come to mind here. One is the fact that you've got a lot of historic data How important is that? I know I look back in records. I might go back 10 years or I might go back 20 years just for the simple fact that I want to make a comparison. I think one year I went back to the early 1900s, and it was amazing how many acres of corn that were planted. And when you think about the modern way we do things now and how they did it then, it must have taken months to get that much corn planted. But obviously, the yield was much different. And so I'm always looking at historic data. I would assume from your standpoint, having that type of data available is very important as you move forward.
Sure. A great example of that, it's a good key into this update that we're doing right now. But one of the provisions of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act was 30 million new grain base acres in the nation. So what we've been doing, we call it a data dig on our side, but basically we've been looking at those historic crop reports within a certain window and establishing whether there is a production of certain grain crops on farms and using that to establish these new part of those 30 million new grain base acres. So yeah, we use history so that we're not having to reach out and say, hey, Tim, how, in the past 7 years, how many acres of corn did you have planted? How many acres of soybeans you had planted? If you've already done your crop reports, we're doing that on our side, and we don't have to pull you out of the field to come in and get us caught up on the history. Another program we look at cropping history would be our Conservation Reserve Program, CRP. Some of the eligibility requirements for CRP is actually past cropping history for that land to be eligible. So one of the things we do is if you are interested in signing up for CRP, then we would pull past crop reports and determine if the land is eligible. So if you already have those on file, we don't have to try and look at past records that you may have, planting records, planting dates. We just look at our crop reports that are on file, and it makes that process so much quicker. It's hassle-free at that point, and we can get people signed up more efficiently if we have that past history.
That leads me to the second question I was thinking about. Do you find yourself having to educate a lot of people on the importance of things like crop reports and some of the programs that will be available? Do you see a light go off above their head when they go, oh, I didn't know that? So is that something you find yourself doing every day, is trying to educate some folks, even experienced farmers?
Sure. I do think there, because we do offer so much. FSA has a wide range of programs for producers, and if you've been in a traditional style of production, whether maybe you've just had beef cattle, then you don't understand that we have programs to mitigate the risk of your hay, through natural disasters. You may not be aware of that just because that's not one of the things you've traditionally signed up for in an office. So there is a lot of light bulb moments, I think, when I'm at a meeting or at a producer group talking about our different programs. Or one thing that's beneficial for me is I just, live in Taylor County and doing my day-to-day business, and someone will say, hey, I heard this on the news, and it gives me a great chance to say, oh yeah, this is this program, and this is what you need to do. This is the office you need to go and talk to. This is the county executive director there. Talk to them about this program. I think it'd be beneficial to you. So yeah, I think a lot of oh yeah moments. I didn't know y'all did that. Lending is another big thing that we do at FSA. We have the program side, we have the farm loan side. A lot of producers I've talked to say, oh, I didn't realize I could get an operating loan through FSA. Yes, we do those. We pretty much if there's any takeaway is if you're in some form of ag production, there's something that FSA has for you, whether it's on the lending side or the assistance side.
We are always talking about the importance of networking. FSA is just like a huge partner to farmers everywhere, and is that a good way to look at it? You're right there with them, as part of what they're doing.
Sure. A lot of our employees farm or grew up on a farm. They have family that farms, so they're part of their local farming community. Definitely the network is there for us to be out, but also we have a pretty far reach. We have 64 service centers in the state. So, in pretty much every locality that you can think of, we have someone that's working in that area that can help producers with those programs. So I think that's great for FSA to have that presence across the state and have that community-oriented staff on board. They're living and working side by side with farmers every day. So I can think of, this is kind of going off on a side story, but when I was in training, so to become a county executive director, they had this program. It was the COT program, County Operations Trainee. But I was in an office, and every morning that county executive director, before he came to work, stopped at the local restaurant for breakfast. And he said basically every morning he got to perform outreach with those local farmers, because while they're eating breakfast, he can say, "Oh, hey, have you guys done this? Have you stopped in to do your crop report? Tim, I saw that you were done planting last week. Have you? I haven't seen you in the office. Do you want to stop by today after you finish breakfast?" So, yeah, that's the great thing about having those 64 offices and all of our staff across the state to be part of the communities, and then they're able to reach those farmers as well.
David, so many of our farms, they're small farm, and family, I should say small family farms. They're not thousands of acres. In some cases, they're not hundreds of acres.
Sure.
But they're still very vital to the whole network, the whole ag network in the state. Do you think that some people think, I'm too small for that? I wouldn't apply or qualify for that because we're just a small operation. Maybe we've got, 40 head of cattle, or maybe we've got 50 acres or something like that. Do you think there's something for everybody there that they can take advantage of?
Yes, the answer is yes. We work with all size farmers. I would say there's no farm too small. I'll give you an example. So we have a couple programs that are related to honey production and apiarists, or those individuals that are beekeepers. And we've created a farm number for. I can think of one myself in the office that I used to work in for about 1/8 of an acre home lot was what it was.
Yeah.
They lived in town, you could say, but they had bees, and they used those bees to produce honey that then they sold. So that is a commercial honey production operation, and we created a farm number for that individual, and then we could sign them up for risk protection on the honey itself, the production of the honey, and the bees through our program. So yeah, there's no farm too small. We recognize that it takes all forms of ag production to feed and fuel the nation. So we welcome everyone that's participating in some sort of ag production to come by the office.
I got a neighbor that's probably going to go to their office because we've talked about it. They have a few hives over there, and it's just
Sure.
It was a hobby that they started, and it's turned into something that they've really enjoyed. And so I'm a little more mindful when I see the houses out there and the honeybees that are around my yard and things like that. I bet somebody like that would probably, I'm guessing, be very surprised that there's a program there for them, and probably be very advantageous for them to be reporting, to be involved, at least to go make a relationship with their local FSA office. That's got to be good news for them.
Oh, for sure. If they're selling honey to make money, then yeah, they're in ag production, and we want to help them mitigate some of their risk. So, like I said, we have a non-insured assistance program. We call it NAP for short, but essentially it is a risk protection policy for specialty crop producers, and honey is considered a specialty crop. So if something happens, let's say there's a drought and there's not enough forages for the bees to produce the honey, you lose honey production, then this program can kick in and offset some of the losses on that honey production. Let's say you have your bee, we call the different, what most people call bee hives, we call them colonies. It's a group of bees.
Yeah.
So let's say you have 10 bee colonies and terrible windstorm goes through and destroys 2 of the colonies. We have a program, the Emergency Livestock Assistance Program, that can offset the loss of those colonies, or if it destroys the hive, the actual equipment as well, then we have a program for that too. So basically what we're there for is help producers mitigate their risk, recover from the losses that are outside of their control. And that doesn't matter the size of the operation, whether it's two bee colonies or 25,000 acres of corn and soybeans. We're here for everyone.
See, I think that is such good news that maybe a lot of people truly aren't aware of. You know, before we sat down and started recording all this, you and I had a brief chat about Farm Bill. And don't want to get into the political dynamics of it all, but do things like the Farm Bill and policy that comes from there, does that have a direct effect on your office and programs that you guys are involved in? And how much of an advantage is it to get something like that past the finish line?
Sure. So many of our programs are authorized by the Farm Bill. So we actually need a Farm Bill to implement some of our programs. I'll give you an example. ARC PLC, that's our Agricultural Risk Coverage Price Loss Coverage Program. That is authorized by the Farm Bill. So if you remember during the passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, there was some Farm Bill provisions within that. So they extended the implementation of ARC PLC so that we could actually carry that out in 25, 26. So without a Farm Bill being passed, many of our programs would actually halt until there is the passage of a Farm Bill or some bill that authorizes those programs. So yeah, we love to see a Farm Bill passed, and it ensures our program delivery into the next years.
You know, David, at the end of the day, isn't it really all about, when we talk about protecting our farmers, and it's really about protecting our food supply. That all becomes so very critical. So FSA is not just, and agencies like that, they're not just affecting the farmers or not just something for the farmers. At the end of the day, is it fair to say that everybody will benefit from these programs at some point or another? Is that a fair statement?
I think that's a very fair statement. And you've heard Secretary Rollins say it, that food security is national security. We're dependent on farmers to feed, fuel, and clothe us daily. And without that security of local United States produced products, we don't have that security as we move forward. So, definitely FSA, our mission is to ensure the financial viability of farming operations. And that in turn provides the food, fuel, and clothes for the nation. And we want to make sure that that's United States products, that we're protecting our U.S. farmers. One of the platforms of this administration is to put farmers first, because agriculture is the backbone of the American economy. So much is dependent on the success of farmers. So, for FSA to play a role in that, to mitigate risks, to provide assistance during natural disasters, to provide financing opportunities for producers so that they can expand, so that they can continue on into the next growing season. That's an awesome mission for my agency that I work for to have.
Now, I know where the hot spot is to eat in Campbellsville of the morning. I know where that is. I'm not going to say it out loud. But when you stop in those places like that, do you sometimes find that there are non-farmers that are inquisitive? What is it that you do, or what do you offer? Or what does that mean to me? Do you ever find that you're talking to people that don't have any connection to the farm, but they're still interested?
Yeah, I think there is a movement in Kentucky and America to be more connected to where their food comes from. So for the general public to have an inquisitive mind, I guess you could say, about agriculture, to me is very reassuring that we're getting back closer to understanding like where our food comes from, having that ag literacy of chocolate milk doesn't come from brown cows.
It doesn't?
Right. Eggs don't come from, you buy them at a grocery store, but they don't come from the grocery store. So yeah, it's neat for me to be out and about, because one thing that my new role gives me is a unique opportunity to be present at meetings that are made up of not only ag stakeholders, but business groups or industrial groups. So I get to talk about the role that ag plays in all those different things, and how the success of the American farmer ensures the success of the American businessman, or the hospitals or education. That is a neat role for me to play. And lots of times I'll get asked like, well, what does FSA do? So then when I start explaining that, we never realized, they'll say, we never realized that there's an agency that did that. And it's eye-opening for them, and lets them know that there's good use of taxpayers' dollars to support our farmers. Yeah.
Now we've talked about the crop report and how important that is. What are and you mentioned the loan programs. Are there some other programs that maybe people might not be familiar with that are just as critical, just as important, that you guys administer and take care of that? Here's your chance. Promote those.
Promote those programs.
What are those?
So I do want to circle back to our farm loan program. Kentucky FSA Farm Loans has a $1.1 billion loan profile. That is a pretty extensive lending profile in the financial realm. So that's a lot of producers that are utilizing federal dollars to expand operations, to buy inputs for the growing season, to secure the family farm into the next generation. Lending is one thing that I think gets overlooked. Just in the hallway before we stepped into the studio, we were actually talking about a young farmer that had purchased a farm and was looking for some financing options for an operating loan. And I said, hey, have them come to the FSA office. I gave him the name of the farm loan manager and said, stop in and talk to Dustin in Shelbyville. He'd love to help you. It's great to get to make those connections and emphasize that we do have so much to offer to protect farmers in their operations. I guess for our programs, I could run through the alphabet soup of all of our acronyms of our different programs. But what I want people to think about is that if you're in ag production and your operation has been impacted by some sort of natural disaster or market fluctuation, something that is outside of your control, then we have a program for that. Whether you're a livestock producer, so our livestock indemnity program, LIP as we call it, if you have a cow struck by lightning, we can help offset some of the losses from that. If you, like we were talking about honeybees, if you're, let's say a tornado goes through, heaven forbid, a tornado goes through and destroys your hives, our Emergency Livestock Assistance Program, ELAP, can cover the loss of those colonies. If you're a specialty crop producer, let's say you raise watermelons and just severe drought happens, midsummer, and you lose production of watermelons, our NAP program can help offset some of those losses. We talked about the Livestock Forage Program, LFP. If drought conditions happen, you lose pasture. That's another program that we have. Currently, right now, actually, we have a sign up for the Supplemental Disaster Relief Program, SDRP.
Saw that.
That program is there for crops that suffered production losses or quality losses during the 23-24 crop years through eligible natural disasters. So if you had production losses due to a drought, due to tornadoes, flooding, if you had quality losses, so maybe you're a specialty crop producer that, you had production, but it wasn't marketable because of, I'm trying to think of, I think it was cucumbers were suffering from russeting due to moisture fluctuations. Those weren't marketable, so that was revenue that you lost in your operation, production that you lost, quality loss. SDRP can help recover some of your losses from those natural disasters.
Sounds like you got a program for everything. Is that?
That's what I like to tell people. And I think I've said it a couple of times already, but if you're in ag production, any kind of ag production, then FSA has a program for that. They say like, oh, there's an app for that. FSA, there's a program for that.
I'm going to circle around real quick. You were talking about young farmers, loan program, things like that. You had, we sat in, I'll give the Farm to Frankfurt plug here. We sat in and got to listen to a portion of that with Commissioner Shell. They were talking about farmland transition. How important is the agency to those young farmers, those first-time farmers, those that are just coming in or inheriting a farm or beginning on their own? FSA it sounds like it's a huge benefit to those folks, isn't it?
Sure. So to get started in farming, if you're a young farmer, whether you're taking over the family farm or buying your own farm, on your own, there's a lot of risk in that. And our assistance programs, whether it's price support, disaster assistance, those help you mitigate some of those risks. So if there are losses, then we can help you recover from some of those losses. On the lending side, we have financing opportunities that may not be available to you at a commercial lender. So we can work with unique operations that are just starting. We can delay your first payment. If you're a livestock producer and you buy bred heifers, there's going to be a while before you realize any revenue from those calves that are born. So we have options to help delay some payments on that based off of that. So we deal with ag lending all the time. We deal with ag producers all the time. So we understand the cyclical nature of revenue on the farms, the debt to asset ratios that farms have. Especially for beginning farmers that maybe don't have the assets that are available, they're just starting out. We can look at those cases differently than some other lenders that are out there. And then obviously we can tie that in with, say you're a young farmer getting started in specialty crop production, then we can maybe give you an operating loan, but also get you signed up for our NAP program to protect against losses for those production years. So
I do not think I would want to do anything on the farm without the help of you guys. I believe you would be my first stop.
We hope it is for a lot of folks, just because we do have so much to offer, and we really want to be there and help in the time of need. We're not profit based. These are taxpayers' dollars. We will make sure they're put to good use, and I think helping farmers get through some tough times is a good use of those dollars. One
thing about David, Kentucky is a rural state. I know we've got some big cities and things like that, but we hear a lot about rural development. I know that we have an agency for rural development, and I know the answer to this, but I know that you guys work hand in hand with those. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. So USDA has many agencies. Just for example, I'm in the Farm Production and Conservation Mission area. So that includes FSA, NRCS, which is Natural Resource Conservation Service, and RMA, which is the Risk Management Agency. but also in our state office is the Rural Development Office. And they have so many programs that are beneficial to not only rural communities, but also farmers. So the state director over there, Travis Burton, he and I have known each other for quite a while. We actually we worked together at the Kentucky Department of Ag during Commissioner Comer's administration. So it's great for us to be in these roles with rural development and the Farm Service Agency serving Kentucky producers. And I think that our relationship will hopefully get better access or at least more outreach performed for the different programs. I know that whenever I'm out and about, I like to mention some of Rural Development's programs that they have and let producers know that, it's not just municipal, it's power companies or phone companies that they help, but they also have programs for farmers, whether it's like value added or energy programs. On-farm labor housing programs. Rural development has a lot of programs for producers as well. So Travis Burton, a good friend of mine, and we love working together. We call it our reunion tour of Kentucky Ag. So definitely, if there's anything if we can make the connection to rural development for any folks, definitely reach out to us as well. We'll get them plugged in where they need to be.
Well, for sure, when you see Travis next time, tell him we want him on the podcast. Anytime he wants, all he's got to do is call him. We'll make time for that.
We'll do for sure. Maybe we'll schedule one when we're both in here and we can
could
tag
do
team.
that. That is a great idea. Okay, Travis, if you're listening, you got the invitation out there. Thanks for including that, David. I think that it's so very important. We talked about networking. Bringing those different agencies together to see how coordinated they are and how well they work together.
Yeah, we're all here to serve our rural communities and American agriculture. So I think the relationship that Travis and I have and the relationship that we have with Commissioner Jonathan Schell, it better serves Kentucky farmers so that we're all knowledgeable about our different programs and we all want to see the best for Kentucky Ag.
I love my friends from other states, but isn't it great to be in Kentucky for all this? Because it really is sort of a family atmosphere, don't you think?
I think so. We've all known each other for a while, and that makes our cooperation that much better at this level and what we can do for ag.
I couldn't agree more. David, I'm going to leave the last word up to you. Anything that's going on right now that we missed or that you want to re-emphasize that's happening, maybe if there are any deadlines, and also is there any web information you can leave us with that people can go to and they can find an office or they can find some information about programs?
Sure. So if you're on the web and you want to do anything with FSA, farmers.gov is a place to start. That's going to get you to our service center locator. That's going to give you fact sheets on our different programs. They have data tools that help you figure out whether a program's right for you. And all that's found at farmers.gov. So I recommend folks to start there if you're internet savvy and want to do your research there before coming to an office. Farmers.gov is where you need to start, and that'll help you find your office. I think as far as kind of the final takeaway, President Trump and Secretary Rollins are focused on putting the farmer first. All of the programs that we've been able to implement, the initiatives that we have within FSA and USDA are focused on supporting our farmers, modernizing our procedures for farmers, really making access to our programs more efficient for farmers, because we understand that your time is in short supply on a farm. So we want to make sure that we're just as efficient as you are on the farm. The putting American farmers first and really being there to support and ensure their financial viability is the main takeaway. If you're in ag, we've got something for you.
Well, David, I think that's a great place to leave it, unless there's anything else you want to add, but you just gave me my headline.
I'm glad I could help with that.
Absolutely.
I think that is a great headline. And just, stop by the office. We've got amazing staff across the state of Kentucky, and we truly are here to help.
Great. Thank you so much. Anytime you're in the neighborhood, stop in. There's always new things to talk about with FSA and all the great things that are going on. And we certainly appreciate you having you back again. And we look forward to the next time, because I'll bug you. There'll be a next time.
Yeah, bug away. I appreciate the opportunity to get to be here today and talk to all your members.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.